Just answering questions with Lab Tech, same channel, lots of questions. I'm way behind on all this. I've been sick for a couple of days, off and on, mostly off, definitely on. The Matrix Simulator video. This is where I explain to people in a very basic way that you cannot have a Matrix simulation work, and that it's a silly idea. Mostly it's used as a scapegoat, escape hatch, MacGuffin thing to avoid dealing with reality. So you can just say nothing's real, which means there's no meaning to anything. Sort of like throwing your hands up and deciding that nobody tells the truth in the mainstream media, when actually they do most of the time. It's just that you have to catch them when they don't. That's on Thursdays. So anyway, let's get on with it. I agree with you, but some people are saying that they're not talking about today's computers. They're talking about computers that will happen in the future, but I agree with you. Well, thank you. Part of the video also included me explaining that there is a way of roughly calculating how many atoms are in the universe. And even with the mythological and non-existent idea of quantum computers that do not actually exist, it's like telling people thermite is not an explosive. They listen or they don't. We don't have quantum computers. But even if we did, if you wanted to, that's a pull it out of your butt kind of idea. We don't have the processing power if you take all the atoms in the universe to create a fake universe the way we're seeing it. It's too finely grained and detailed. But if you use the original idea behind the Matrix movies, each person or each entity would be their own processor that would just handle their limited viewpoint, the little cone of reality they look through in the audio. Just like in a video game, you just limit it down to what people can see, and everything else has a placeholder, which isn't incredibly precise, but accurate enough that you wouldn't notice it unless you're really looking at details. It's a good thought experiment to come up with the idea of the brain in the bottle kind of thing, or the brain in the jar idea, and discuss it. But the point is, that I made in the video and I've made since then, is that as a philosophical argument, philosophy is a waste of my time, in my opinion. It is a waste of time because you're not supposed to come to a conclusion and make a judgment. Don't judge philosophy. Yes, you should. And that's the problem I have with a lot of people who keep bringing up an endless loop of philosophical arguments on this subject. But that's my opinion. Now, let's get to this person's. Because my opinion, okay, let's get to this person's. One thing is, organic people probably wouldn't even exist if living in a simulation. What are the chances that people are controlling us don't exist as well within it? They too might be living in a simulation, and it's a stretch on infinite, and the original universe would not even exist if there wasn't another simulation, or the whole universe itself could be just one giant thought. Now, here's the funny part: is if you actually decide that the universe is based on literally its ideas working themselves out, then everything is a simulation. That would actually work, because you don't have a physical constraint like matter. The other thing is, you need to watch the movie The 13th Floor and Inception, because both of them deal with multiple onion layers of reality, because it's a good idea. This is the reason I prefer using sci-fi movies and sci-fi thinking and sci-fi literature as a reference point, because if we're going to go fantasy world, let's go to the one that actually has the least amount of bad thinking, dumb thinking in it. Let's use smart fantasy rather than dumb. That's kind of what I treat a lot of the stuff on the internet as, is really poorly done up sci-fi. Very poorly. Next question. This is more of an aggravator. Someone decided to post this because they made a long drawn-out argument about the Malaysian Airlines images found on Google Earth being valid somehow. Basically, I got a bunch of pushback because I pointed out something simple. The images that were cited by the researcher who didn't leave his house, who did images from Google Earth and also Google satellite views, and all other systems have the similar ones, found what he said had to be pieces of the Malaysian Airlines airplane in it. The trouble is, the images were taken before the airplane took off. And then the excuse comes up, well, you have to prove there's nothing there by going out there. So let's go through this. There are 7 different year dates at different heights above it. That's kind of how it works on Google Maps and Google Earth. And yeah, but the ones that were cited by the person are from before the plane took off. You're ignoring that and avoiding it. You nor anybody else is able to identify why it can't be it. Again, I've identified why it can't be it, because the images were taken before the airplane took off. I see you're doing your best to also cover up this image, as no aircraft had crashed in the area since 1987. I know that, because it's not an aircraft. You're looking at something, again, an image that was taken before the plane took off, and it's probably not even an airplane. There was no claim on my part that that was an airplane that was down before at all. It's not an airplane. It's the wrong size and shape, and you're presuming somehow that things land in the ocean and they don't drift around. Is it anchored there? And again, the image you're discussing with me and trying to debunk my evaluation of was taken before the airplane took off. You won't acknowledge this. So what aircraft is it except this one? It isn't an aircraft, and it doesn't have to be the Malaysian Airlines aircraft, because the aircraft we're talking about took off after that image was taken, and the person who posted this stupid story keeps getting told that image is from before the plane took off. Why are you doing that? A long time before. Items washed ashore in the area are said to be from that plane. Yes, they did find actual confirmed wreckage from this. Physical evidence that you can't refute. So, of course, you have to, I guess. And they did the pathways of where the water probably came from, and they figured out where the Malaysian Airlines plane probably crashed, but they don't know because it's a big damn ocean and they can't find it. How could this be possible when the U.S. say it crashed off Australia? The U.S. government and the USA, and the U.S. government isn't a contiguous thing. It's a bunch of people. Some people who are associated with the U.S. government said that's the most likely location. They don't know any more than that. And again, the images we're discussing that you're refusing to acknowledge were taken before the plane took off. You have to acknowledge that in your comment to be taken seriously instead of me mocking the living hell out of you. So please grow up. Next. It's easy to say it's not it. Yeah, because it isn't. Because it's not a plane, and because the image was taken before the plane took off. But until the area is searched, you nor me nor anybody else can say it's not. And you nor me nor anyone else can say it is, because the image was taken before the plane took off. Seafloor scanned the whole area. They're doing that. But they're doing it where it probably hit instead of where your pet researcher came up with this failed imagery. Some of the people actually noticed that when he did his video presentation of it, he hid the time and date stamp for the images because he was well aware of the fact that it didn't prove his point. He was trying to find something to become a hero and become famous. He doesn't care about finding anybody. He doesn't care about solving anything. He cares about people like you fanboying him. That's a nice word, fanboying. If they find nothing, and then only then can it say it's not it. No, that's not how it works. The proof has to be from the person making the assertion, and the assertion that that's a plane, and that is that particular plane. The image that was brought up happened before the plane took off, so it cannot be the plane. It's that straightforward. Do you understand time travel doesn't work that way? Not all Google Earth images are correct. I understand that. But the trouble is, the date on it is the earliest date it could have been uploaded, or the latest. Which one? Did you look that up? Google Earth's blog actually has been archived, which I thought was funny, where they explained that some of the images are outdated and which way the dates go. Now, could the images be taken later or earlier than posted? That's a trick question. Many of the dates are incorrect, yes, but again, the person who posted that video trying to prove he found an image in Google Earth, Google Maps, whatever, used an image that was blatantly marked with the wrong year, right? No, it was marked with the year it was uploaded on, which was before the plane took off. And you ignoring that and doing this tirade proves that I hit a nerve. Thank you for proving that. I really do love it when people confirm that I've actually gotten under their skin by posting a fact and they just can't do anything about it and it freaks them out. But yeah, if anybody wants to, I will go back through that video and I will look through all of the different dates and times. Mostly they're on Google Earth. Google Street View does the same thing as well for certain areas, that sort of thing. I also like to point out that some of the images you're trying to ignore were taken because people were searching out there and uploaded the images after the plane took off. So some of the images show areas that don't show a plane because they were looking for it. Are you paying attention to any of that? No. It's some guy on the net using Google Earth found it by locating an image of the plane a year or so before it took off. And you won't acknowledge that that is literally the crux of the problem here. And you didn't review anything here except your last line. Some of the dates can be incorrect. That's fine. But he was hiding the dates. And you're refusing to acknowledge it. And no one has to prove you wrong. That's not how proof works. You have to prove that you're right. And me pointing this out really triggered you. And I'm happy to say thank you for proving that I did so. Next one. I've been saying somebody got away. I saw the guy running past the taxi and the shots in that scene before that. He is in Dubai. I saw something in a video from Sleep Deep in the Punjab hijab, and they said were 3 women. Those were the same militants who saw in the documentary last year. So we'll do this real quick. The 3 women that were mentioned were overbooked into probably other rooms as well. They weren't staying with Paddock, number 1. Next, you're not specifying which one. Next, I'll check out Sleep Deep, see if I can find this. I've been meaning to binge watch his channel, so I might just well do that, so I'll find it. No problem there. As for the militants and the vague references to which times, I don't get it. You're not posting any data here. Needing extra money for his daughter's wedding. He went into the big city and took a job where it paid good money. The spelling here is messed up. What he thought was a one-time deal actually turned into him fighting for his life. These people were sucking every ounce of every energy, and then he realized they were going to kill him. He built up what strength he had managed to get away when Punjab guards sound asleep, barely able to walk. The refrigerator's ice chest. That Lombardo don't want to say his name because Paddock made a fool out of Lombardi. I'm actually completely lost at this point, so we'll just skip this one, I guess. If anybody knows what this is about, post it below. I guess I'm out of the loop again. Also, a request. Someone posted a video somewhere, and no one will tell me who it was, that is supposed to prove that the police broke the window. Now, the original assertion is there was no broken window. Next, they broke the window. Next, it wasn't broken until a certain time. I need the one where the person's claiming the cops broke the window for some reason. By the way, there's a rumor that Mandalay Bay had little vent windows on some of the rooms. And if you had one, you could just open it, shoot, and then close it again. I'd like to see some imaging from that. I guess 5x5 News, or maybe we'll just have to have... well, we'll have somebody like Burgundy do it, I guess. I don't know. I can't do it because, well, there's an issue there. Anyway, I'm going to end it at this. This has been strange. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And post them if you got them. Bye.